Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into one of the absolute most meticulously crafted stories I've come across in a long time. We're going to completely unpack the brilliant 15-phase narrative structure of The Last Bell of Fuji. What makes this story such a triumph, like an absolute masterclass in suspense, is exactly how it builds tension. Because it starts out feeling like a totally traditional ghost story, completely pulls the rug out from under you to reveal a grounded, gritty thriller, and then it delivers a climax that will literally leave you breathless. So, let's get right into it.
We start our journey by stepping right into the eerie atmosphere of the mountain with this incredibly chilling piece of advice. This right here is Phase 1. We meet our protagonist, 23-year-old Arav Mehta. He's an Indian documentary filmmaker studying Japanese culture. He travels to the foothills of Mount Fuji. We're talking way off the beaten tourist path, and an elderly local shopkeeper gives him this exact warning. Don't photograph it, listen to it. The shopkeeper tells him all about Kofuku-in, which is this incredibly isolated Buddhist temple, where on one specific night every single year, a bronze bell is rung exactly 3 times. Well, as Arav is walking through the forest that very evening, he hears it. 1, 2, 3. And you guessed it, it's definitely not the scheduled night.
To really grasp the massive scale of the mystery Arav is just casually strolling into, we have to look at the timeline. Arav arriving in the present day is just the tip of the iceberg here. This narrative brilliantly anchors its tension deep in history. 30 years ago, a woman named Mika Sato vanished. 18 years ago, a university student named Daiichi Nakamura vanished. And both of these disappearances circle the exact same isolated temple. This immediately sets the stakes for us. Arav isn't just investigating some spooky sound in the woods, he's stepping blindfolded into a decades-old trap.
All right, so that brings us to our first major narrative arc, phases 1 through 3, the hook, the supernatural setup.
The setup here is flawless. We get a defaced tablet, a phantom monk, an eerie warning, basically the universe handing Arav a giant neon sign screaming at him to turn around and go home. Arav goes to the temple and meets Brother Ren. He's this very quiet, secretive monk who absolutely refuses to let him film. And when Arav brings up the bell, Ren just coldly tells him he heard something he wasn't supposed to hear. It gets creepier. Inside the temple, Arav finds dozens of these wooden name tablets, right? But one of them has been violently, aggressively defaced. When he asks about it, Ren just stares at him and says, that person never existed. And to top the whole thing off, when Arav looks at the photos he took the night before, there is a blurry phantom monk standing right there in the trees. As an audience, we are completely primed at this point to expect ghosts.
But then we hit the shift, phases 4 through 9, the descent, from ghost story to investigative thriller. This is where it gets so good, because Arav completely shifts from a passive observer to an active investigator. He starts following this physical, tangible breadcrumb trail. He actually takes that blurry phantom photograph and shows it to the shopkeeper. Well, the shopkeeper instantly panics. He tells Arav to delete it immediately because the last person who took that exact photo disappeared. That little clue leads Arav straight to an old police report about that person, the student, Daiichi Nakamura, the one who vanished 18 years ago. Now, in Daiichi's final photo, the background matches Arav's exactly, and Daiichi is holding a notebook with the temple's unique bell symbol on it. That final visual clue leads Arav to track down the actual surviving pages of that very missing notebook hidden away in an old bookstore.
And guys, the crucial point here is what Arav actually finds on the final page of that notebook. It's just this single, cryptic sentence, but man, it is a massive turning point. The mountain is not where they are protecting the secret. The notebook also contains Daiichi's detailed logs of the monk's movements in the middle of the night, which eventually forms a hand-drawn map. Arav follows this map and discovers this abandoned wooden structure hidden deep inside the forest, and it is just packed with old records and photographs. You can literally feel the pacing suddenly accelerate here. We realize we aren't hunting spirits anymore, right? We are hunting a very real, very dangerous secret.
Inside this hidden structure, Arav uncovers a truly shocking contrast. The official police stories all claimed these past cases were just accidental deaths or, voluntary disappearances. But the secret temple records, they tell a much darker truth. Now, Brother Ren actually catches Arav in the structure, but instead of attacking him, he reveals that the temple has been secretly archiving this information for years. Arav pulls the file on Mika Sato from 30 years ago. The official story said she just chose to disappear. But the temple records show she visited the monks, absolutely terrified, stating, "Someone is following me." Why? Because she was investigating illegal land transactions by some incredibly powerful, corrupt locals. The monks hadn't caused her disappearance, they became accidental witnesses to her murder.
When Arav finally returns to his guest house, the stakes become terrifyingly real. His room has been completely tossed, the notebook is gone, and sitting right there on his desk is a piece of paper with just 3 words, "Stop looking down." Arav realizes in this moment that down doesn't mean underground, it means down the mountain. It refers to the modern, corrupt corporate development that's creeping up the trails from the city below. The threat isn't a phantom monk at all, it's a very real, very ruthless human syndicate.
This brings us to a moment of just intense paranoia. Brother Ren takes Arav to an old maintenance tunnel filled with even more hidden evidence, including Daichi's old backpack and a cassette recorder. When Arav hits play on the recorder, he hears Daichi's voice from 18 years ago warning, "If anyone finds this, don't trust the temple." Hearing this, we, along with Arav, are suddenly forced to ask, okay, Ren has been guiding Arav this whole time, but is he actually protecting him or is he manipulating him into a trap?
Let's move into our third major arc, phases 10 through 13, the human conspiracy, unmasking the grounded reality.
The reveals in this section, they hit you like a freight train. First, Brother Ren confesses that Daichi didn't actually die. He's still alive. He's been living and hiding in a coastal town for nearly 2 decades. Arav manages to track him down, and Daichi lays out the full extent of the corruption. These powerful local figures orchestrated massive illegal land grabs and literally silenced anyone who even noticed. But the most devastating revelation of all comes from a photograph. Daichi proves that Brother Ren was directly involved in meetings with these corrupt figures 18 years ago. The monks weren't just innocent witnesses, Ren was fully complicit. So naturally, Arav rushes back up the mountain to confront Ren with this proof of betrayal. And Ren, he doesn't even deny it. He admits he cooperated with them, but only to save the lives of his fellow monks, who were actively being threatened by the syndicate. But then he reveals that he secretly copied their records for almost 20 years. He's been acting as a silent keeper of evidence, just waiting for an outsider who couldn't be bought to finally arrive. When Arav asks him, "Why me? Why did you pick me?" Ren gives this haunting answer, "Because you heard the bell." The bell was their traditional warning system. But then, Ren drops a total bombshell. He tells Arav he wasn't the one who rang it that night.
Which brings us to the final phases, 14 and 15, the climax and the unknown, the ultimate rug pull.
Just as we, the audience, are sitting back feeling totally satisfied with this grounded, logical crime thriller resolution, the author delivers an absolute masterclass in suspense. A massive, violent storm is approaching the mountain. Arav and Ren are inside the temple, hurriedly packing up all the evidence so they can finally release it to the authorities and end this massive conspiracy once and for all. And right then, over the roar of the wind, the heavy bronze temple bell rings. Once, twice, 3 times, the traditional warning, and then an impossible 4th time.
Now, what is so wildly effective here isn't just the sound of the bell itself. It's the reaction. It's the pure, unadulterated horror that completely washes over Brother Ren's face as he whispers this one line, "There has never been a 4th bell." With one single line of dialogue, we are violently yanked right back into the supernatural dread we thought we had completely left behind in Phase 3. The grounded reality we just spent hours building, it absolutely shatters.
They race out into the freezing storm, sprinting toward the bell tower. But when they get there, they don't find a ghost. They find Mika Sato's daughter. She has finally come to the temple, and she is holding her mother's original diary from 30 years ago. This diary contains the ultimate, undeniable proof they need to break the conspiracy wide open, ending with her mother's chilling final note. If they ever tell you I disappeared, don't believe them. The 4th bell wasn't a ghost at all. It was literally the arrival of justice. In the epilogue, Phase 15, all the evidence is released and it sparks sweeping national investigations. The corrupt figures are finally brought down. Months later, Arav returns to Kofukuen seeking some kind of closure, but things have changed. Brother Ren is gone. He's finally retired, his decades-long burden lifted at last. A new, much younger monk has taken his place at the temple.
Arav has a brief conversation with this new monk that just perfectly seals this slow burn structure. When Arav asks him why they ring the bell 3 times, the monk smiles and gives a simple, very grounded answer: tradition. But when Arav asks about the 4th bell, the monk's smile completely vanishes and he replies, "We don't talk about the 4th. The human crimes have been neatly solved, but the atmospheric mystery of the mountain remains terrifyingly open."
As Arav walks away from the temple for the final time, heading down the dark forest path, a single bell toll rings out through the trees. But Arav looks back, and there is absolutely no one standing near the rope. We are left with this haunting, totally unresolved image. It's a spectacular narrative achievement, really, giving us logical, grounded closure for the human characters while ensuring that the deep, ancient mystery of the mountain stays with you long after this explainer is over. So I leave you with this to chew on. When the human noise finally fades away, what is truly listening on Mount Fuji? Thank you so much for joining me today, and I really encourage you to think about how your own favorite stories use structure to keep you guessing. See you next time.
The forest holds a grainy ghost, a figure draped in shadow's cloth. My fingers tense around the frame. You said deleted like a prayer. A visible tremor in the air. The last one who took a picture. The last one vanished without a trace.